Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into one of the absolute most fascinating challenges of modern renewable energy grids. We've gotten incredibly good at capturing energy from the sun and the wind, but the core challenge, the thing that keeps engineers up at night, has always been figuring out how we keep the lights on when the environment just isn't cooperating. Well, today we're exploring a landmark project that tackles this exact issue head-on. Okay, let's dive into this. It's a completely relatable question, right? Imagine you have an absolutely massive array of solar panels soaking up rays all day long. But eventually, evening comes. The sun goes down. And here's the catch. That is exactly when people get home, turn on their appliances, and energy demand spikes. So what happens then? If we can't store that energy effectively, it's just a huge missed opportunity. So let's jump into Section 1, Australia's first 8-hour battery, solving the storage puzzle. This is exactly where the Limondale project steps in to provide a really historic solution. And they're doing it using a BESS, which stands for Battery Energy Storage System. To demystify that a bit, it's essentially a gigantic grid-scale rechargeable battery. Its entire job is to capture massive amounts of generated energy from the adjacent solar plant or the broader grid, hold onto it securely, and then deploy it later when we actually need it. Now let's look at the numbers, because they're staggering. The Limondale BSS is rated at 50 megawatts with a 400 megawatt-hour capacity. But how does that translate into the real world? Well, if you take that total storage capacity of 400 megawatt-hours and divide it by its maximum output of 50 megawatts, you get exactly 8 hours. That is 8 solid hours of continuous, reliable power that can be pumped straight back into the grid long after the sun has set. And this is why this project is such a massive game changer. Historically, traditional grid batteries were designed more like sprinters. They provided quick bursts of energy just to stabilize the grid, maybe lasting an hour or two. But Limondale is Australia's very first 8-hour battery. It's a marathon runner. This shift to long-duration energy storage fundamentally changes the way we handle nighttime energy use, allowing renewable power to actually carry the grid through the evening peak entirely on its own. All right, moving right along to Section 2. Inside the Limondale project, the scale of power. To truly grasp what this battery can do, we have to zoom in on the physical reality of the site in New South Wales. The adjacent Limondale Solar Farm sits on an astounding 770 hectares of land. It is a literal behemoth of infrastructure. And spread across those 770 hectares are 872,000 solar panels. Just try to picture that scale in your head. Hundreds of thousands of panels working in perfect unison, capturing the intense potential of the Australian sun every single day to feed the grid and, crucially, charge this massive storage system. Let's tie those abstract numbers back to something a bit more relatable. The generation equivalent of this facility is enough to power 105,000 homes every single year. We are talking about supplying the entire energy needs of whole communities from this one single location. The whole system operates on this really fascinating contrast. On the generation side, the solar farm produces an impressive 314 megawatts. Then, on the storage side, the project uses 144 Tesla Megapacks. And what's so cool about these packs is their dual capability. They act like a giant sponge, registered to charge at a rapid 100 megawatts, soaking up that excess power quickly. And then, they discharge it steadily at 50 megawatts over those full 8 hours. So let's map out exactly where all of this is happening. The site is located in the designated New South Wales Southwest Renewable Energy Zone. More specifically, we're talking about the NSW Murray region, about 23 kilometers south of Balranald, pretty close to the Victorian border and roughly 854 kilometers southwest of Sydney. But look, a project of this scale doesn't just happen in a vacuum. German-headquartered renewable developer RWE brought this to life through a massive collaborative effort. They teamed up with US-headquartered Tesla, Melbourne's Beyond Energy Solutions, Sydney-based Lumea, and the transmission network service provider Transgrid. Now here's what I find absolutely brilliant about the engineering efficiency of this setup. The Limondale BSS connects directly to the grid using the solar farm's existing 33 kilovolt substation. By utilizing the infrastructure that was already sitting right there, they drastically reduce the need to build complex new connections. It saves time, it saves resources, and it greatly reduces the environmental impact. Let's move into Section 3, Securing the National Grid. Policy meets reality. We've seen the hardware, we've seen the scale, but how does this massive local asset physically secure the broader network? There's actually a lot of dense policy behind this, but let's translate those acronyms into a clear, logical sequence so we can understand exactly why this battery was sized for 8 hours. Step 1. The New South Wales government laid out state energy goals through the Electricity Infrastructure Roadmap, or EIR. Step 2. To execute this, a subsidiary of the Australian energy market operator known as ASL ran a competitive tender. Step 3. Limondale won. They were the very first to receive a long-duration storage, long-term energy service agreement. The big takeaway here is that 8 hours wasn't some random guess. It was engineered specifically in direct response to rigorous government policy demanding long-term grid stability. I think Sapna Suri, the CEO of RWE Renewables Europe and Australia, perfectly humanizes the hard data we've been looking at. She noted that this project marks a significant milestone in the development of long-duration energy storage. And really, this isn't just about storing electricity, it's fundamentally about enhancing the reliability and the resilience of the entire national energy system. Projects like Limondale help strengthen grid stability and ensure we are using renewable energy far more efficiently than we ever have before. Let's zoom out to the bigger global picture to see where this whole industry is heading. Because RWE isn't just stopping with one project in Australia. Globally, across the US, Europe, and Australia, they currently operate battery energy storage systems with a total capacity of 1.7 gigawatts. But here's the absolute kicker. They have a massive 2.5 gigawatts currently under construction. Think about that for a second. The pipeline for the future is literally larger than everything they already have running today. Which brings us to our final thought. With 2.5 gigawatts more storage infrastructure actively being built around the world right now, we really have to ask, are massive 8-hour batteries like the Limondale BES no longer the exception? Are they just the new standard for securing our grids? When government policy demand meets actual physical scale, the solutions to our energy storage problems finally become reality. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. And definitely keep an eye on these global trends, because the future of energy is changing right in front of us.